it talks, let's take a look. Life and hope in every book.
Imagine, if you will, an ancient book. Words written down centuries, millennia ago, but they seem to speak of future leaders. Huge societal shifts, even divine actions that, well, they changed everything.
It's really not just history, is it? It feels more like a kind of blueprint. A blueprint for hope, maybe for change, written way before the events happened.
Exactly. Welcome to the Deep Dive, your shortcut to being well-informed. Today, we're taking a really deep dive into some incredibly powerful parts of the ancient prophetic text of Isaiah.
And this isn't just some dusty old scroll. I mean, it is old, but it's packed with divine messages, serious warnings, and frankly, breathtaking visions that shaped how people understood things for centuries afterwards.
So our mission today is to unpack some of those layers of meaning in Isaiah.
Yeah.
We want to look at the history behind it. You know, the challenges ancient Israel faced, the moral problems.
Right, and also the remarkable foresight in these messages. We'll explore how these verses set the stage, created expectations for big spiritual and societal changes, especially around future leadership, divine intervention.
And crucially, how these ancient ideas didn't just fade away, they kept resonating, didn't they? People kept reinterpreting them centuries and centuries later.
Absolutely. Across different traditions, these ideas fueled some profound hopes, including, significantly, interpretations relating to figures like Jesus, whose followers saw his birth and life as fulfilling many of these very prophecies. So yeah, get ready for some surprising connections.
Okay, let's jump right in. Our first big section is looking at this theme of the crisis and the call for true righteousness. Basically, empty ritual versus genuine justice.
And it kicks off pretty strongly in Isaiah chapter 1, verses 11 to 17. The Lord basically asks this very pointed rhetorical question. Why to me the multitude of your sacrifices?
It sounds almost sarcastic, doesn't it? It's not a gentle suggestion.
Not at all.
Huh.
The source material makes it clear this directly shoots down any idea that just, doing the sacrifices was enough to please God.
So it's a sharp critique of their religious practice right from the start.
Mm-hmm.
It absolutely is. It's challenging their whole understanding of faith and their relationship with God. I mean, look, they were doing the outward stuff.
Well, bringing the animals, going to the temple.
Exactly. Showing up, trampling the courtyards with livestock. If you just had a checklist, they might seem like they were doing okay, ceremonially speaking.
But God says,
He basically says, I don't need this parade of animals. It's not that the ritual itself is bad, you have to understand.
Okay.
It's the ritual without the ethical living. That's the problem. God's primary requirement, what he really wants, is social justice, real righteousness, not just these empty motions.
so there's this huge gap.
A profound disconnect, yeah. They're meticulously following the outward rules, the ceremonial duties, but their hearts, their actions towards other people, totally out of line with what God desires. It's like a piety completely detached from morality.
That's fascinating because, well, sacrifices were a core part of their worship, mandated by God, weren't they? So how should we understand him seemingly rejecting them here?
That's a really key question. It's not that the rituals themselves were suddenly wrong or that God was just canceling that part of the covenant.
Right.
It's that the rituals had become the point. They were a substitute for the stuff God really cared about: justice, mercy, humility.
Like a way to feel good about themselves, maybe?
Yeah.
Or appease God while ignoring the bigger picture.
Exactly. It's like, someone loudly proclaiming how charitable they are while behind the scenes they're exploiting their workers. The outward show looks good, but the reality is rotten. And the source lists other things God found detestable, which really drives home the point about their ethical failures. These weren't minor slip-ups.
What kind of things?
Well, the text mentions practices explicitly forbidden in their law. Things like certain sexual practices deemed unacceptable, idolatry, which was a huge one, even horrific things like human sacrifice, which some surrounding nations practiced. Also things like eating ritually unclean animals, sacrificing animals that were flawed or defective instead of their best, getting involved in occult activities like divination, and even ritual prostitution associated with pagan worship.
So it wasn't just neglecting justice, it was actively doing things seen as abominations.
Exactly. It paints a picture of a society that wasn't just failing to do good, but was actively embracing things considered deeply wrong, all while thinking their temple rituals covered for it.
That list really hammers home how deep the moral breakdown went. And it makes you think, doesn't it?
Definitely.
How often do we, maybe as individuals, maybe as societies, focus on the outward stuff, the procedures, the donations, the public image, while neglecting the real ethical core, the justice issues.
It's a timeless challenge. Are we just performing our own parade of livestock, whatever form that takes today, while ignoring the call for genuine compassion and fairness? Isaiah forces that uncomfortable question.
It really does. So, moving from that initial indictment, the book paints an even darker picture, doesn't it? This section on moral decay and imminent judgment in chapters 1, 3, and 5.
Oh, absolutely. It gets pretty grim. Jerusalem itself is described like a person who's degenerated. There's this vivid imagery. Your silver has become dross. Your beer is diluted with water.
Dross. So like the worthless impurities left after smelting.
Exactly. Something precious like pure silver has become contaminated, worthless, and the beer, once strong, is now weak, watery. It's a powerful metaphor for how the moral and ethical core of the society had become debased, corrupted, lost its strength.
And it's not just a general problem among the people. It points fingers directly at the leadership.
Yes, and that's often where the rot starts, isn't it? The text says, "Your officials are rebels. They associate with thieves. All of them love bribery and look for payoffs."
So corruption at the very top.
Complete corruption, and the consequence. They do not take up the cause of the orphan or defend the rights of the widow. The most vulnerable people in society are left unprotected because the leaders are busy enriching themselves.
It sounds depressingly familiar. Like you could read that in a newspaper today about some parts of the world, or even looking back through history.
It's a tragically common pattern, and the text shows the inevitable result. Societal breakdown. People will treat each other harshly, men will oppose each other, neighbors will fight. The whole social fabric just unravels.
I mean, even the basic respect structures collapse.
Right. Youths will proudly defy the elderly, and riffraff will challenge those who were once respected. It's chaos, a complete internal collapse driven by this moral failure, and the verdict is blunt. Too bad for the wicked sinners, for they will get exactly what they deserve.
It's a terrifying picture of self-destruction. And then there's that incredibly powerful vineyard analogy in Isaiah 5. It starts so beautifully.
Yeah.
It does, doesn't it? It paints this picture of God acting like a meticulous, loving farmer. He dug it up, removed its stones, planted it with the finest vines. He even built a watchtower and a wine press.
Showing incredible care, investment, real dedication. Like someone pouring their heart into a project, hoping for a great result.
Precisely. The expectation was clear. Good, edible grapes. A sweet, fruitful harvest after all that loving effort. But then comes the heartbreak. The question hangs in the air. When I waited for it to produce edible grapes, why did it produce sour ones instead? And the text spells it out devastatingly. He waited for justice, but look what he got, disobedience. He waited for fairness, but look what he got, cries for help.
So the sour grapes are injustice, the opposite of what God intended.
Exactly. All that divine care resulted in bitter injustice, a complete failure to live up to their side of the covenant.
Yeah, the consequences for the vineyard are severe.
Oh, yes. Because of this failure, God says he'll remove its protective hedge, break down its wall, leave it exposed. He'll turn it into a wasteland, command the clouds not to rain on it. It's utter desolation.
A clear metaphor for Israel and Judah facing ruin because they abandoned justice.
Absolutely. Protection withdrawn, blessings removed. It shows that neglecting justice isn't just wrong, it leads to existential threat.
And the description of decline continues, doesn't it? People being deported because of their lack of understanding.
Yes, it's not just physical exile, it's rooted in this spiritual blindness, this
Yeah.
failure to grasp the moral reality, and then that chilling image. Death will open up its throat and open wide its mouth. Zion's dignitaries and masses will descend into it.
Wow. This is incredibly graphic. Like the whole society, top to bottom, is just being swallowed by death.
It is. It shows the totality of the judgment. And there's another fascinating detail. Those who pull evil with the ropes of emptiness. It's like they're straining, stubbornly dragging their sins along with flimsy ropes, ignoring all the warnings, attached to their own destruction.
So their downfall isn't just something happening to them. It's the direct result of their own choices, their rejection of God's law.
Yes, God's anger is explicitly linked to them rejecting the law of the Lord and spurning the commands of the Holy One of Israel. The whole section powerfully illustrates societal collapse rooted in ethical failure. Those metaphors, dross, diluted beer, the failed vineyard, they still resonate because they capture something true about how corruption works.
And it underscores that idea that real prosperity, a healthy society, it's fundamentally tied to righteousness, isn't it?
It absolutely is. And it really forces us, the listeners, to ask, Does any of this sound familiar? We see these struggles with corruption, injustice, social breakdown throughout history even today. What happens when integrity disappears? Isaiah offers a pretty stark, ancient warning.
But amidst all this gloom and doom, the message starts to shift, doesn't it? We get these glimpses of hope, prophecies about a future deliverer.
Yes, but it begins in a very strange, almost unsettling way in chapter 6 with Isaiah's commission.
Right? The prophet's onerous commission. God tells him to go and basically make the people less able to understand, make their hearts calloused, ears deaf, eyes blind.
It's shocking, isn't it? God says, do this, otherwise they might see with their eyes and hear with their ears, their hearts might understand, and they might repent and be healed.
It sounds almost cruel, like God doesn't want them to repent.
It's easy to read it that way at first, but scholars generally understand it differently. It's not about God actively preventing repentance from people who are willing.
No.
It's more about highlighting how resistant, how spiritually dull and stubborn the people already are. Their hearts are already callous, their ears already deaf to God's previous calls.
So Isaiah's preaching to this hardened audience will just confirm their resistance. It will feel like hardening.
Exactly. It's a judgment on their existing condition, a recognition of their deep-seated unwillingness to truly listen and change. It's a tragic statement about their spiritual state, not God being manipulative.
That makes more sense, though it's still incredibly somber. But even right there, in that dark commissioning, there's a seed of hope, isn't there? The idea of the remnant.
Yes. Absolutely crucial.
Okay.
Despite the prophecy of widespread destruction like forests being felled, God says a stump will remain.
Just a stump. Doesn't sound like much.
But it's described as a sacred pillar within that stump. That's key. It's not just survival, it's the preservation of something holy, foundational.
Like a seed.
Exactly. A sacred seed, implying that even from the ruins, future life, future growth, restoration is possible. God's ultimate purpose won't be completely wiped out, even if the majority fall away. This remnant idea is vital for everything that follows.
So that somber start actually introduces this core theme. Hope endures, even if only in a small remnant, setting the stage for future restoration.
Precisely. It's the necessary foundation for the promises to come.
And that leads us right into some really famous and hopeful prophecies.
Yeah.
Emmanuel and the coming ideal ruler. Chapter 7 sets the scene again with a crisis, right?
Yes, King Ahaz of Judah is terrified. Syria and the northern kingdom of Israel have teamed up and are threatening Judah. The text says his heart and the hearts of his people shook, like the shaking of the trees of the forest before the wind. Pure panic.
Understandable, facing two enemies at once.
Definitely. And in that moment of fear, God sends Isaiah to Ahaz with a message. Don't freak out. Don't be afraid or intimidated by these two stubs of smoking logs.
Smoking logs, meaning their power is burning out.
Exactly. God is saying, Rezin of Syria and Pekah of Israel, they look scary now, but their threat is temporary, already fading. He's calling Ahaz to trust God, not political maneuvering or fear.
And it's right here, in this specific political crisis, that the sign of Emmanuel comes in Isaiah 7.12.
That's right. Isaiah tells Ahaz, the Lord himself will give you a sign. The virgin or young woman will conceive and give birth to a son and will call him Emmanuel.
Emmanuel meaning God is with us.
Yes. So in the immediate context for Ahaz, it's a sign of God's presence and protection right then and there in that crisis. It's meant to bolster Ahaz's faith.
But the way it's phrased and how it echoes later, it feels like more than just a sign for Ahaz.
It absolutely does. The language is profound, and later parts of Isaiah, and indeed later interpretations across centuries, saw this as pointing to something much bigger.
How so?
Well, even as Isaiah foretells judgment coming via Assyria, a flood that will reach Judah's neck, the land is still called O Emmanuel, Isaiah 8.8. It implies God's presence persists even through disaster.
So God is still with them, even in judgment.
Yes. And then that powerful declaration in Isaiah 8.10, devise your strategy, but it will be thwarted. Issue your orders, but they will not be executed, for God is with us. It becomes this universal statement of divine sovereignty. God is with us, transcends the immediate threat.
And of course, for Christians, centuries later, this verse became a cornerstone prophecy pointing directly to the birth of Jesus.
Without a doubt, the concept of God with us taking on human form found a powerful echo in this verse.
This theme then explodes in Isaiah 9, verses 6 and 7. With the prophecy of the wonderful child. This is stunning stuff.
It really is. For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders. Just that alone is remarkable.
But then the titles. And he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace.
Yeah, those titles are extraordinary, especially Mighty God. Think about it. In a fiercely monotheistic culture.
To call a human child Mighty God.
It's audacious. It's blurring the lines in a way that must have been absolutely stunning, perhaps even controversial for the original audience. It points to a ruler of unparalleled, almost divine nature and authority, far beyond any normal king.
And his reign.
Of the greatness of his government and peace there will be no end. He'll reign on David's throne, establishing his kingdom with justice and righteousness from that time on and forever. It's a vision of a perfect, eternal kingdom.
This really sets up an incredible expectation, doesn't it? Far beyond anything Ahaz could fix.
Miles beyond, it's planting the seeds for a truly messianic hope.
And that hope continues in Isaiah 11 with the shoot from Jesse.
Right. Jesse was King David's father. So the stump of Jesse represents the Davidic dynasty, which, let's be honest, by Isaiah's time wasn't exactly living up to its glorious potential and would eventually seem cut down.
But from that dead-looking stump.
A shoot will come up. From his roots, a branch will bear fruit. It's an image of unexpected life, renewal, a new leader emerging from the seemingly failed royal line, hope springing from apparent hopelessness.
And this leader is specially endowed by God.
Yes, filled with the Spirit of the Lord, wisdom, understanding, counsel, power, knowledge, and the fear of the Lord. This isn't just a wise king. This is someone perfectly attuned to God's will.
So his judgment will be perfect.
Exactly. He won't rely on superficial appearances or hearsay. He'll judge the needy with righteousness, give justice to the poor. He'll strike the earth with the rod of his mouth. With the breath of his lips, he will slay the wicked. His rule is about establishing true justice.
And the impact is, well, it's cosmic, isn't it? The wolf living with the lamb.
It's incredible imagery. The wolf will live with the lamb, the leopard will lie down with the goat, the calf, and the lion, and the yearling together, and a little child will lead them.
Predatory nature itself has changed. Even babies playing near cobra dens safely.
They will neither harm nor destroy on all my holy mountain. It's a vision of shalom, of complete harmony restored, not just among people, but in all of creation, flowing from this righteous ruler. It's like Eden regained.
And it's not just for Israel.
No, this root of Jesse will be a banner for the nations. The nations will rally to him. His influence is universal.
These sections are just packed, moving from immediate crisis to this grand vision of an ideal future king who sounds almost divine, bringing cosmic peace.
It set an unbelievably high bar, didn't it? It created this profound expectation, this longing that went far beyond Isaiah's own time and deeply shaped Jewish messianic hopes for centuries. And again, for Christians, these became key texts for understanding Jesus' identity and mission.
You have to imagine hearing this back then, living under corrupt kings, facing invasion. What kind of hope would that spark? This wasn't just a political fix, it was a promise of total transformation.
It would have been revolutionary. A radical counter-narrative to despair. It plants this deep-seated anticipation for the ultimate king, the one who would finally make everything right. That longing became a powerful force in their history and theology.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Isaiah doesn't just talk about Israel's future, he talks about divine judgment and the sweep of universal restoration. He looks at the whole world stage.
Yes, his scope becomes international, even cosmic. Chapters 13 and 14, for example, focus on the downfall of Babylon, a major world power at the time.
And there's that famous taunt against the king of Babylon, calling him Morning Star, son of the dawn, or Hallel, son of Sharchar in Hebrew. What's the background there?
That's not just a poetic nickname. It taps right into ancient Near Eastern myths, likely Canaanite ones, about a lesser divine being, the Morning Star, who arrogantly tried to usurp the throne of the chief god El.
Ah, so it's a story about pride and downfall.
Exactly, a well-known story archetype. By applying it to the Babylonian king, Isaiah is saying, your pride is just like that mythical figure's. You think you can ascend to heaven, be like the Most High, but you're destined for a fall. It frames his arrogance in cosmic terms.
And the text even quotes the king's proud thoughts. I will ascend to heaven. I will raise my throne above the stars of God. I will sit enthroned on the Mount of Assembly. I will make myself like the Most High. Classic hubris.
Textbook hubris, and the predicted fall is just as dramatic. But you are brought down to the realm of the dead, Sheol, to the depths of the pit. No grand royal burial for him.
Instead,
He's cast out of your tomb like a rejected branch, like a corpse trampled underfoot. From self-proclaimed godlikeness to utter degradation, a stark warning.
Isaiah also speaks about judgment on other nations, like Moab in chapter 15.
Yes, a vivid picture of widespread mourning and desolation. Shaved heads, clipped beards, sackcloth everywhere, the waters running red with blood. It shows God's judgment isn't limited to Israel. His sovereignty extends everywhere.
Then there's Egypt in chapter 19. It starts with turmoil, internal fighting.
Right. Civil war, city against city, kingdom against kingdom. Their famous wisdom fails them. Their leaders become fools. Utter chaos predicted.
But then something amazing happens. A turn towards redemption.
Completely unexpected. In that day, 5 cities in Egypt will speak the language of Canaan and swear allegiance to the Lord Almighty. 5 cities. And there will be an altar to the Lord in Egypt, a sacred pillar at its border.
Egypt, Israel's historical oppressor, turning to worship God.
It's radical, and God even sends them a savior and defender to rescue them. The Lord will strike Egypt with a plague. He will strike them and heal them, both judgment and restoration.
And the ultimate vision is even broader.
Astonishingly so. Egypt, Assyria, another major enemy, and Israel forming a blessed triad in the middle of the land, all serving the Lord together. It's a vision of enemies reconciled, becoming a blessing together. Universal reconciliation.
Wow. So these judgment prophecies, they're not just about punishment. They're demonstrating God's ultimate control over everyone.
Yeah. Yes, his sovereignty over all nations, all history, even cosmic forces. And often, the judgment seems to clear the way for something new, for his universal reign, extending salvation even to former enemies. The contrast between human pride and divine power is just constant.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? These ancient pictures of global judgment, but also universal blessing, how do they connect with our own hopes and fears about the world today? That longing for ultimate peace and justice feels very current.
It certainly does. Which brings us to the pathways to deliverance and a renewed era. Isaiah doesn't just leave us with judgment. He paints these beautiful pictures of hope and restoration.
Like in Isaiah 26, there's a song for Judah. We have a strong city. God makes salvation its walls and ramparts, a sense of security in God.
Exactly. And a direct call to trust. Open the gates that the righteous nation may enter, the nation that keeps faith. You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast because they trust in you. Trust in the Lord forever, for the Lord himself, is the rock eternal.
Steadfast trust leaves to perfect peace. That's a powerful promise.
It is. And there's this interesting idea about how justice is learned. When your judgments come upon the earth, the people of the world learn righteousness. But though grace is shown to the wicked, they do not learn righteousness.
So sometimes consequences are necessary for learning, not just grace.
That seems to be the implication. Judgment isn't just punitive. It can be corrective, educational, waking people up to reality when mercy alone doesn't work.
God's protection is also described very powerfully. In Isaiah 27, he deals with Leviathan the gliding serpent, Leviathan the coiling serpent. He will slay the monster of the sea. Who or what is Leviathan here?
Leviathan is this great chaos monster figure from ancient Near Eastern mythology, often representing the chaotic sea or powerful oppressive empires that seem unstoppable.
Like Babylon or Egypt, maybe?
Could be symbolic of them, or just chaos and evil in general. By saying God will defeat Leviathan, Isaiah is asserting God's ultimate power over all cosmic evil and earthly oppressors. It's a total victory.
And Israel, the failed vineyard from before, is now called
a fruitful vineyard. God says, sing about it. I, the Lord, watch over it. I water it continually. I guard it day and night so that no one may harm it. What a contrast to the desolate vineyard earlier. It shows restoration, renewed care, constant protection.
Then in Isaiah 29, there's this promise of spiritual awakening.
Yes, a profound healing. In that day, the deaf will hear the words of the scroll, and out of gloom and darkness, the eyes of the blind will see.
Literal healing, but maybe metaphorical too. Spiritual blindness healed.
Both, very likely. A recovery of perception, understanding, and this leads to social change. Once more, the humble will rejoice in the Lord, the needy will rejoice in the Holy One of Israel, the marginalized are lifted up,
and the oppressor down.
The ruthless will vanish, the mockers will disappear, and all who have an eye for evil will be cut down. Justice prevails. And for Israel, Jacob, no longer will Jacob be ashamed. No longer will their faces grow pale. They will recognize God's holiness. It's total renewal, social, spiritual, emotional.
God's intervention against Assyria in chapter 31 is also very direct.
Extremely. God will descend like a fierce lion, unafraid of the shepherd's shouts, to protect Jerusalem. Like birds hovering overhead, the Lord Almighty will shield Jerusalem. He will shield it and deliver it. He will pass over it and will rescue it.
That Passover language echoes the Exodus, doesn't it?
It does, deliberately invoking God's foundational act of deliverance. And Assyria, they'll fall, but by a sword not of mortals, supernatural defeat.
And a key sign of this change is people rejecting idols.
Yes. Each of you will throw away the idols of silver and gold your sinful hands have made. That turning away from false worship is fundamental to the restoration. It's a spiritual purification.
This leads into the vision of a reign of justice and peace in Isaiah 32.
See, a king will reign in righteousness, and rulers will rule with justice. These leaders won't be oppressors. They'll be like shelter from the wind, shade from the heat, streams of water in the desert, true servants protecting the people.
And the effect on the people.
A kind of enlightenment. Then the eyes of those who see will no longer be closed, and the ears of those who hear will listen. The fearful heart will know and understand, and the stammering tongue will be fluent and clear. Ignorance and fear are replaced by understanding.
And the result is peace.
Exactly. The fruit of that righteousness will be peace. Its effect will be quietness and confidence forever. My people will live in peaceful dwelling places, in secure homes, in undisturbed places of rest. Justice is the bedrock of true, lasting peace.
Finally, chapter 35 gives us that incredible picture of the highway of holiness.
Just stunning imagery. The desert bursting into bloom, weak hands strengthened, feeble knees steadied, a message to the fearful.
Be strong, do not fear, your God will come. He will come to save you.
And miraculous healing.
Then will the eyes of the blind be opened and the ears of the deaf unstopped. Then will the lame leap like a deer and the mute tongue shout for joy. Complete physical restoration.
And this special highway. A highway will be there. It will be called the way of holiness. It will be for those who walk on that way. The unclean will not journey on it. Wicked fools will not go about on it. It's a purified, protected path.
No danger, no lions.
No lions, no ferocious beasts. Only the redeemed, those rescued from bondage, will walk there, entering Zion with singing. Everlasting joy will crown their heads. Gladness and joy will overtake them, and sorrow and sighing will flee away. It's a picture of absolute joy, safety, and perfect communion with God.
These passages are just so full of hope. It's not just getting back to normal. It's a radical transformation of everything: nature, society, individuals, spirituality.
Exactly. It's initiated by God, involves healing, justice, the removal of evil, and culminates in this vision of universal well-being and holiness. The rejection of idols is woven through it. This renewal is deeply spiritual at its core.
It really offers such a stark contrast to the chaos and injustice we often see. How does that vision of a healed world led by truly just leaders speak to our own longings today?
It's a powerful vision, isn't it? It fuels hope that things can be different, that a better world is possible under divine guidance.
Okay, now we're moving into some of the most profound, maybe most debated, and certainly most influential sections of Isaiah, particularly for later understanding. The Lord as creator, deliverer, and the future servant.
Yes, this part really establishes God's absolute power and then introduces this astonishing feature of the servant. Let's start with God's incomparable power. Isaiah 37 tells that amazing story of King Hezekiah facing the Assyrian siege.
Right, Sennacherib wasn't just attacking, he was mocking God himself.
He was. And God's response through Isaiah is powerful. To Sennacherib, I will put my hook in your nose and my bridle in your lips, and I will make you go back the way you came, like leading away a beast.
And then the angel of the Lord
Strikes down 185,000 Assyrian soldiers overnight. Sennacherib retreats and is later assassinated by his own sons while worshiping his god. It's a stunning, undeniable display of God's power over the mightiest empire on earth.
Then Isaiah 40 just soars, describing God's supremacy as creator.
It's majestic poetry. These rhetorical questions just dwarf human capacity. Who measured the oceans in his hand, marked off the heavens, held the dust of the earth in a basket, weighed mountains?
Makes everything else seem tiny.
Exactly. The nations, like a drop in a bucket. Rulers. He brings princes to naught and reduces the rulers of this world to nothing. Compared to the Creator, they're insignificant.
And it contrasts God with idols again.
Sharply. All who make idols are nothing. It describes the human effort involved: carpenters, goldsmiths, showing how absurd it is to worship something made by human hands, something that can't see or know anything compared to the living God.
And God himself is eternal, tireless.
The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He will not grow tired or weary, and his understanding no one can fathom. This sets the stage for him being the only true deliverer.
As highlighted in chapters 43 and 46.
Precisely. To Israel, he says things like, "When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned." And the declaration, "I am the Lord your God, the Holy One of Israel, your Savior."
While idols?
Idols are useless burdens. Bel and Nebo, the gods of Babylon, are depicted as heavy statues being carried off into exile on tired animals. They can't even save themselves, let alone their worshippers.
So God's uniqueness is stressed.
Absolutely. Before me, no God was formed, nor will there be one after me. I, even I, am the Lord, and apart from me there is no Savior. He alone declares the future and brings it to pass. His sovereignty is absolute.
Which makes the next part, about Cyrus in Isaiah 45, even more surprising.
It's truly remarkable. Cyrus the Great, the Persian king, a non-Israelite, a pagan ruler.
God calls him his anointed.
Yes, God says he will go before you and will level the mountains. God says he stirred Cyrus up, equipped him, though you have not acknowledged me.
Why? Why use a pagan king?
The text says, "So that from the rising of the sun to the place of its setting, people may know there is none besides me. I am the Lord, and there is no other." God uses Cyrus to demonstrate his own universal power.
And Cyrus's specific task.
To rebuild God's city, Jerusalem, and set the exiles free, but not for a price or reward. It's purely God's sovereign plan unfolding through this unexpected agent.
It powerfully shows God working through anyone, anything, to achieve his purposes.
It really does. It shatters any limited view of how God operates, and it perfectly sets up the contrast with the next figure, the servant, who is fully aligned with God's will from the start.
It really makes you reconsider how we see power in history, doesn't it? Seeing this overarching divine plan working through even unlikely people.
It challenges our assumptions, for sure. And now we get to the suffering servant and Zion's glorious future. This is where Isaiah takes us into truly profound territory.
Starting with the servant's commission in Isaiah 49, he seems set apart from birth.
Yes, before I was born, the Lord called me. From my mother's womb, he has spoken my name. A divine calling from the very beginning.
And he's described almost like a weapon. Made my mouth like a sharpened sword, a polished arrow.
But hidden, kept ready in God's quiver. It speaks to potent power, but held in reserve, used strategically. His purpose isn't military conquest, though.
What is it?
To restore the tribes of Jacob, yes, but also to raise up the tribes of Israel. But that's too small a thing, God says.
Too small. Restoring Israel is too small.
Apparently, God says, "I will also make you a light for the Gentiles, that my salvation may reach to the ends of the earth." His mission is universal salvation, bringing light to all nations.
And he'll release prisoners, bring people out of darkness. It's a mission of liberation.
Spiritual and physical liberation, yes. But then this mission takes this incredibly difficult turn towards suffering in chapter 50 and most famously, chapter 53.
In chapter 50, the servant speaks about facing opposition.
Yes, despite being taught by God daily, he faces resistance. "I offered my back to those who beat me, my cheeks to those who pulled out my beard. I did not hide my face from mocking and spitting."
Yet he's not crushed by it.
No, because the sovereign Lord helps me. Therefore I have set my face like flint, and I know I will not be put to shame. There's this incredible resolve rooted in divine help.
And then, Isaiah 53. This chapter has had such a massive impact, especially on Christian understanding of Jesus. It starts by saying he wasn't physically impressive.
Right. He had no beauty or majesty to attract us to him, nothing in his appearance that we should desire him. Totally subverts the image of a glorious hero king.
Instead, he's
despised and rejected by mankind, a man of suffering, familiar with pain, like one from whom people hide their faces. He was despised, and we held him in low esteem. Just brutal rejection and suffering.
But then comes the key insight. His suffering wasn't for his own sins.
Exactly. That's the revolutionary core. Surely he took up our pain and bore our suffering, yet we considered him punished by God, stricken by him, and afflicted. They misunderstood his suffering completely.
They thought God was punishing him, but actually,
he was pierced for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was on him, and by his wounds we are healed.
that idea of substitutionary atonement. His suffering pays for others' sins and brings them healing.
It's incredibly profound and, for its time, radical. We all, like sheep, have gone astray, and the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. The innocent suffers for the guilty.
And he does it silently, like a lamb to the slaughter. Like a sheep before its shearers is silent, so he did not open his mouth.
Total submission, total innocence. He's taken away by oppression and judgment, cut off from the land of the living. Why? For the transgression of my people he was punished.
And the outcome.
Despite being assigned a grave with the wicked, God will vindicate him. Yet it was the Lord's will to crush him and cause him to suffer. And through that suffering, offered as a guilt offering, he will see his offspring and prolong his days. And crucially, by his knowledge my righteous servant will justify many, and he will bear their iniquities.
He justifies others by carrying their sins.
Yes. He poured out his life unto death, was numbered with the transgressors. Why? Because he bore the sin of many and made intercession for the transgressors. This laid an unbelievable theological foundation for understanding redemption through vicarious suffering, which became central to Christian interpretation of Jesus' death and resurrection centuries later.
But it doesn't end with his death. The servant's suffering leads to incredible restoration for Zion, doesn't it?
Absolutely. The following chapters erupt with promises of glory. Isaiah 54 calls out to the barren woman, symbolizing desolate Israel Zion, telling her to sing because she will have more children than the married woman. Fear and oppression will end.
And Zion's status changes.
Dramatically. She who was forsaken is now intimately connected to God, called the Holy One of Israel, the God of all the earth. Her foundations will be laid with precious stones, her walls with jewels, unimaginable beauty and value restored.
Then Isaiah 60 has that famous call, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you."
Yes, darkness covers the earth, but the Lord's glory is on Zion. Nations and kings will be drawn to her light. Wealth will flow in. Her people will return. It's a picture of global influence and restoration radiating from her.
She gets new names too, right? Instead of deserted and desolate.
Yes, in Isaiah 62, she'll be called Hephzibah. My delight is in her, and her land, Beulah, married. Symbols of God's renewed love and covenant faithfulness. She'll be a crown of splendor, a royal diadem in God's hand. Total reversal of shame.
And Isaiah 61 introduces another key figure, the Spirit-anointed announcer.
Echoing the servant's mission, but focused on proclaiming the good news. The Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is on me, because the Lord has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom for the captives, and release from darkness for the prisoners, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor.
This is the passage Jesus reads in the synagogue in Luke's Gospel, applying to himself.
Exactly. It's seen as a quintessential messianic mission statement, bringing comfort, joy, restoration, proclaiming God's jubilee.
And the ultimate vision is a whole new creation in chapter 65 and 66.
See, I will create new heavens and a new earth. The former things will not be remembered. Complete cosmic renewal. Joy in Jerusalem, long lifespans, answered prayer before it's even spoken.
And that peace in nature again.
Yes. The wolf and the lamb will feed together, and the lion will eat straw like the ox. They will neither harm nor destroy on all my holy mountain. Perfect harmony restored.
Culminating in universal, perpetual worship.
From one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, all mankind will come and bow down before me, says the Lord. It's a breathtaking vision of a fully redeemed cosmos, centered on worship of the one true God.
These servant passages, especially Isaiah 53, are just so challenging and profound. Triumph through suffering, redemption through sacrifice. It's completely counterintuitive to how we usually think about power and victory.
It really is. It introduces this radical concept of redemptive suffering that has shaped theology and spirituality for millennia. The idea that healing comes through the wounds of an innocent sufferer is just immense, and its impact on how Jesus was understood cannot be overstated.
It really makes you wrestle with things. What does it mean for healing, for justice, to come through someone suffering unjustly for others? How does that ancient idea challenge our modern views on leadership or even our own spiritual journeys, especially seeing how figures centuries later embodied or were understood through this lens?
We've covered a lot of ground today, from Isaiah's stark warnings about injustice and empty religion in ancient Israel,
to those incredible soaring prophecies of a future ideal king, Emmanuel, the wonderful counselor,
through the judgments on nations that underscored God's universal sovereignty.
and culminating in that complex, powerful vision of the suffering servant whose sacrifice brings justification and leads to Zion's glorious restoration and even a new creation.
It's a journey from human failure to divine faithfulness, from judgment to incredible hope.
The book of Isaiah really lays out these profound expectations, doesn't it? a God who demands real righteousness, who acts decisively in history, and who promises this extraordinary deliverer, one who rules justly, brings peace, and astonishingly suffers for the redemption of many.
These ancient words created such a deep longing, such specific hopes for a transformation that echoed down through the centuries, profoundly shaping religious thought and expectation, providing a framework for understanding salvation and God's presence in the world.
Isaiah's visions really bridge the gap, don't they? From immediate political crises in his day all the way to cosmic renewal, with this enigmatic, suffering servant at the heart of it. How do these ancient prophecies of an ideal ruler, a suffering redeemer, a new creation, how do they still speak to us? How do they continue to shape how people understand salvation, our responsibilities, maybe even the ultimate destiny of the world?
It's amazing how these words, written so long ago, continue to inspire hope and intense interpretation across so many different traditions and generations.
Definitely something to reflect on. Consider the enduring power of these words from Isaiah. What parts of this vision, the call for justice, the promise of peace, the figure of the servant, the hope for renewal, what speaks most powerfully to you in your own understanding of hope and the future? Especially when you think about how people have wrestled with and found meaning in these texts for over 2.5 millennia.
That's our deep dive for today. We hope exploring Isaiah has given you some valuable insights into its enduring power and significance.
Believer talks, let's take a look. Life and hope in every book.